शाश्वत स्क्रीन विजिबल है?
हाँ विजिबल है सर।
हाँ विजिबल है सर।
ये देखिए सब प्रोफेशनल्स ही है और आई वुड लाइक हम ये सेशन जो है वो थोड़ा इंटरेक्टिव रखें। ये सेशन एक आपको एक विंडो जरूर दिखाएगा नॉर्मल रूटीन लाइफ से बाहर निकल के कि और भी क्या क्या चीजें हैं। तो अगर किसी का कोई डाउट है, कोई डायरेक्ट क्वेरी है, डायरेक्ट डिस्कस करना है या कुछ दिमाग में आपके आता है, आई एम ऑलवेज ओपन फॉर आइडियाज। कुछ भी है तो डायरेक्ट आप डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। हम लोग सेशन को जितना इंटरेक्टिव रखेंगे उतना फायदेमंद ये सेशन और हो जाएगा। तो जैसा एज द टॉपिक इज सजेस्टेड एज रूट टू आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस थ्रू मैकेट्रॉनिक्स। आपने इरमी में एक मैकेट्रॉनिक लैब देखा होगा, इफ यू हैव बीन टू इरमी। पता नहीं, अभी तो आजकल शायद क्लासेस सारी ऑनलाइन हो रही है, तो फिर भी मौका मिले तो इरमी जाना चाहिए। शाश्वत, इरमी आते हैं सब लोग?
सूर्यकांत एक्चुअली आजकल तो सब चीज ऑनलाइन चल रही है, लेकिन शायद अगले अगले महीने से लोग इतनी आना थोड़ा शुरू हो जाएंगे अगर कोरोना फिर से नहीं बढ़ा तो।
ओके 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 ओके, अच्छा। इनमें क्लास रिप्रेजेंटेटिव कोई बना हुआ है क्या, सीआर?
Yeah, good morning, sir. This is Punardeep.
क्या क्या नाम बताया आपने?
Punardeep Singh, sir.
पुनर्दीप, ओके ठीक है। अब सियार साहब है तो ठीक है, एटलीस्ट आई कैन फील कि समबडी इज देयर। क्योंकि ये ऑनलाइन लेक्चर्स का चक्कर ये है कि हम जब बोर्ड पे पढ़ाते थे तो दैट वाज एंटायरली अ डिफरेंट व्यू। अब ऑनलाइन में तो ऐसा लग रहा है हम लोग लैपटॉप पे ही बात करते हैं। बट एनीवेज ये ठीक है, इस तरह के अभी लेक्चर आजकल यही चल रहे हैं जिस तरह हो रहा है। तो जो लेक्चर है उसका टॉपिक है रूट टू आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस थ्रू मैकेट्रॉनिक्स। नाउ एज यू ऑल नो, सभी लोग इतने अच्छे पढ़े लिखे हैं, सभी यूपीसी क्वालिफाइड लोग हैं, सबको मालूम है इट इज ऑल अबाउट मिक्सचर ऑफ योर मैकेनिकल आइटम्स प्लस इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स, नथिंग एल्स, नथिंग मोर देन दैट। So so let us start. I just got a demand ki the lecture should be in English. Okay, fine, no problem. What is mechatronic? Mechatronic, as I just suggested, it is all about mixture of mechanical items and your electronical items. Why I'm calling this as items and not some logics or subjects? Just because we have to feel everything, then only we're able to realize all these things in real life. Whatever we have learned in our graduation was all about our books and mostly about theories. Although I know there were some practicals, but everybody know how the practicals are there in colleges. So whatever. So let us come back. Um, uh, I think there are even IRTS professionals also available. But anyways, they also know what mechanical items are. That I presume that they know it. So mechanical means you can say a hammer, a motor, a wheel, all those kind of things. There are many basic things also, but more or less we can think about some wheels, some rotatory motion, some kind of motor. You can see a fan, a ceiling fan. The thing that we are seeing actually, it's a there are some arms to it, and they are attached to a motor. Now, how the motor should act, that is very important, because all the performance of that particular ceiling fan depends upon the characteristic of that motor attached to it. Now what we have to do is, as an engineer, we have to see that fans performance should be very good and it should satisfy the customers assumptions. So for setting various speeds of a fan, we need to have some kind of say potential differences associated with the electricity being supplied to the fan. And for that, you might have learned about the potentiometer. So yes, the regulator attached to the switchboard for the ceiling fan is just a potentiometer. That's it. Anybody trying to say something? Okay, okay, fine. So See, we are all intelligent, and okay, I think I must say that you are all intelligent enough. You all have qualified an exam, the toughest exam of in all Indian academies, and the best exam perhaps the UPSC, which was conducted by the UPSC. So all are intelligent, that I presume. But the point is that how to make the machines intelligent, and why is there any need to make the machines intelligent? Um, it is very much that machines become intelligent so that our workload should decrease. Hello, there is some disturbance. Is anybody trying to say something? Okay, fine. Shashwat?
Hello. Yes.
Shashwat, I think I'm audible enough.
Yes, you're perfectly audible, sir. There's no problem.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay.
Surikant, that is the sound of people joining the session, so you can just ignore it.
Acha. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Shashwat. Thank you, Smriti. Okay. So we were discussing about the intelligence quotient actually. Now see, men are intelligent, no, matlab all people are intelligent, no, but nowadays we want that the machine should also be intelligent or sufficiently intelligent. Why? So that our workload should decrease. The prime thing is that there are many works associated with human beings which are not actually should not be actually performed by the human beings. You might have seen various manholes, drainages, or very hard tough task like carrying big huge gunny bags on shoulders. Such kind of labor actually should be given to some robotic things or some kind of artificial things, so that our workload should decrease. Why? Just because we all want a happy life, a smooth life, and most of us definitely want life should be on buttons, on switches, and by saying that I meant a remote control. I think that as a human being, we should do only those things where brain is required, and we should apply our brains and stay away from very bad laborious work. I'm not saying that we should not perform any laborious work. Yes, we should. Hard work is very important and very much needed. We should do that. But the examples that I just gave, like cleaning of drainages, manholes, or carrying heavy gunny bags on shoulders, such kind of things that create unnecessarily tiresome jobs for human beings should be given to the other things like say robots or some machines. But how to get the work done from machine, that is important. Now there is now it can be done um, by using the machine's energy, by applying our brain. Now, having said that, using the machine energy by applying brain, I meant that we must create some kind of logics, or some kind of compulsions for that machine to behave according to our desires or our wishes, or whatever output that we want. Okay, so yes, this can be done, and this is being done at regular basis on various industries, especially in automobile industries, in medical fields. Definitely science and technology has gone too far in the stream, but still there are people, maybe because of lack of education or say lack of information, they are not acknowledging the importance of science and technology. So, as you all have gone through your graduation process, so you just for an example, there are lot many things during graduation also, and we want those things should be done, should be get done automatically. We don't want to indulge ourselves in that. For example, if I have to walk from my hostel to say my institute, so I would better opt for a vehicle rather than having a walk if it is far away. And then there is another point. If I am opting for a vehicle, then I don't want it to be a polluting vehicle. I want it to be a non-polluting vehicle, like some e-bike or something like that. Now, for up to this it was okay, but now I'm looking for an option that why this vehicle cannot run on its own. Why should I be driving it? Rather, I should utilize that time of traveling for some other good work. I hope you must have heard about Elon Musk. He has now designed a car which can run on its own. Uh, it has got lot many proximity sensors. By that I mean that many of obstructive sensors. The car itself decides where to go. The car itself sees if there is any obstruction or not, and then the car itself on its own decides whether to stop or take a turn. So that is sort of intelligence in the car. But what about that intelligence? Where is that intelligence coming from? It has been incorporated by the scientists, the engineers, the designers inside the processor of that car, and that is how that car, that machinery is performing. Okay, so that's what is all about artificial intelligence. We have to make our machines sufficiently intelligent so that it can work on its own as per our desires. Our by that I mean on humans desires, whatever we want that machine should perform. Now just a definition I have put it on your board. It is all about to have a machine or system sufficiently intelligent enough to apply a set of logics and provide output as desired by the natural intelligence. Now here natural intelligence means what? It is us. We are the naturally intelligent people, and now we have to make that machine sufficiently intelligent. So we have to make that. Somebody has to make that machine intelligent. Machine cannot be intelligent on its own. So that's why we have to put some artificial intelligence in that machine, and for that we have to give a set of logics. Suppose I want to have a glass of water, then I will have to order to my waiter that waiter please bring some water. Now these things should be done by the machine on its own. We should not be waiting for ourselves to order something. Okay, so let us move forward. Now I'm talking about a very important slide. This slide is a single slide, but it is very important for your practical career. Whenever you go after this, maybe you opt for. I have heard that there are professionals still who are looking for IAS job and all, but wherever you go, this slide will definitely help you a lot. This is all that I have tried. I have tried to put my practical things into one slide. So you can see for the most important thing is we have to have a team. You can see at the base I have written the teamwork. Without teamwork nothing is possible. If we have to create something, if we have to see we have to do anything, teamwork is very important, and for that we have to have a good team. Okay, now the team is there, but most important ingredient of a team is the dedication, and the other one is the emotion. If your team has got emotion towards the goal of the team, and all members are well dedicated towards their work, definitely you will get the output whatever you wanted to do with the team. Now coming back to artificial intelligence, it is all about three particular portions, more or less, largely I'm telling this. There are very detailed versions. If then there we'll have to take another lectures for that. But mota moti, largely, it consists of three parts. There are sensors to take the input from the real world. Just like we are having our senses, we can smell, we can touch something, we can see something like that. So there are some sensors. Then there are processors. What the processors do? Processors take the input of the sensors and then apply some logic that is given by the humans to that processor. In other words, in common say, you can say programming. It's all about programming. We have to see that what kind of thing we have sensed and what kind of actions do we need or do we want those sensors to do with the end effectors. Now there are two things, sensors and end effectors. Sensors only they sense the environment, the real world environment, and end effectors they give the output to the real world. For example, if I feel very cold, so that is what my skin has just sensed, that there is cold outside. Okay, so what I will do, I will take a jacket on me. What I have done, actually my mind has processed, and my mind has informed my hand that, see, there is cold outside, you need a jacket to wear so that you can be remain safe from cold outside. So my hands becomes the end effectors which are taking the jacket over me. So it was a very small process, but it consisted of the three very important items. Whatever kind of innovations, whatever kind of artificial intelligence you think, or machines, or even your computer, even your calculator, even the ceiling fan that I gave just an example in the beginning, all consists of these three important parameters. There has to be some kind of sensor which can feel the real environment. Has to be some processor which can process the sensor's input and apply some logic, and then that logic is transferred to the end effectors. And end effectors are like mechanical things. They do whatever is being commanded by the processor to them as per the input of the sensors. So these three things are very important. Now coming back to the most important part of this, the heart of this slide, you can see there is a cost and there is a time. Two items I have written here: cost and time. Anything you want to do, they need these two things. Now cost does not mean only financial thing, it means your hard work also. Anything that you want to make, anything that you want to create, anything that you want to do, it requires some financial cost and hard work cost. Your hardships are very important. Without that, you cannot do anything. And for this, you need time. Time is very important. One thing that I have realized after doing all these kind of small or some important innovations for railways, that initially when we are beginner, it is very difficult for our senior officers to completely rely upon on us, that if I'll give something to this chap, he will come up with very good thing. And it's not always right also. Many a times people try for it, but they don't get the actual output, the desired output. So it is very important to showcase our whatever we have in our mind or in practical world. By having saying that, I want to say that we must do something or some project or some kind of prototype on our own cost and time, maybe in a very small amount, so that it will give a clear picture to our senior officers or our other colleagues that what we have got in our mind. See, these days everybody is free to give ideas, and lot many people have very wonderful brains, and they have got very good ideas also. But point is that people are very busy also these days. So what happens is, they don't directly believe on your ideas. Whenever idea is coming from say a younger chap, they believe like system is going on well, then why should we unnecessarily create some chaos by giving some opportunity to somebody. Yes, there are very good officers also, they definitely support you. uh, they come up with you, they make a team also with you. I have seen such officers. But the point is that even get to those officers, you have to have some prototype on your own cost and on your own time. That is what I have realized actually. So I'm not saying that you have to create a big kind of structure or big model, anything like that, but you can have a small prototype. That's what I had done earlier, because in this service, it is very difficult to tell somebody that, see sir, I have got this in my mind and I want to make this. Definitely they will hear you, no doubt. They will even try to get something out of you, no doubt. But getting your idea into reality will be difficult and will be solely depend upon yourself only. Hence these two things, cost and time, that you have to give on your own. Okay, so let us move move to our next slide, the approach. Now whatever I was telling was this only, how to have an approach towards your realization of your idea in the real world. The first and foremost, the very important is, because see, this slide I have prepared only for the officers only, because yes, you are already in this stream, so definitely you will have some people under you. So you have to be with your people under you, and you have to feel their problem, what they are going through. You know what I have felt in railways, that the system is already very much set. There is nothing to be coming from outside. There is nothing actually required actually, but whatever is inside, that needs some kind of modification with recent technological advancement. And for getting those, you have to feel the problem, that whatever problem your people are feeling during their day-to-day routine work. If required, get the tool and do the job yourself once. At least once you try to do it on your own. You be it of any service, say maybe you're an RSME, you can go to the pit line and see what is happening in the pit line, why your labor has to go to the pit line. You can just use the good facility of mobile these days, the YouTube. You can see Shanghai videos of bullet trains. They never go to the pit line. They are having their own pit line examiner robots. They don't have to just go inside and take every view of your pit line. So that's the comparison, and that's the reality also, that even after establishment of so many years, we still have to go to the pit line and see everything. Okay, fine, no doubt. Then if you feel any hardship during that course of action of your own practical experience of that particular work, you analyze it, and definitely remind yourself that you are an engineer, you had done a graduation in the stream, and you may come up with a good engineering idea. So now you have to have some paperwork on your own, jot down everything on your paper and come up with whatever possible ideas you can have. See, what I have realized is that yes, technological advancement is there, but in other industries, in our railways, yes, there is technological advancement, but it takes time. Unless and until you take the initiative, you are the one who has to take the initiative. If you'll not take the initiative, then the routine work is going on as it is. I have seen many officers coming to duty by say morning 8 o'clock, going back to the home say by 1900 hours, and they are just maintaining whatever is going on, and that is also fine, because it has got nothing to do with it, because everything is already going on all right. There are no kind of say, big accidents or whatever. Now, but if you will actually go in the field, you will feel that there are people who are actually wasting also time, because with the technological advancements, our well-renowned organization RDSO has developed some very good tools and machineries, and COFMO is procuring those items, and they are distributing to various units. So what is happening, that if say suppose before 10 years a particular job needed 10 people to work at a time, the RDSO has designed some good machines, and has somehow reached to a conclusion that if we use some particular machine, that then one man can do the job of the 10 men. But that everything is on paper. In reality, if you will see in your field work, you might notice some kind of works still going on in old fashion, and they are not using the new machines. Now this is all about RDSO, but there are other technological advancement going on in our competitive industry, the automobile industry. We always have to have a competition with the automobile industry. Whenever you see a locomotive, a train, say a coach, you please compare it with what the Ford is offering us. You please compare it what this BMW and those Mercedes are offering us. Why cannot we offer such kind of facilities to our passengers? This question should come to your mind, and then you come to some kind of engineering solution for this. Then only we can actually refine our railways to a better technical organization. Of course, it's a technical organization, but as you can see, there are better facilities available in cars than our trains. Maybe at a harsh reality, but it is a reality. So there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of scope of improvement in this. So definitely you will have to take time. That, as I said earlier, you will have to give at least 6 months to 1 year just to study that what is going on. See, innovation is very good. Artificial is very good. These are very, very, very important and good things, very much needed things of these days. But For that, the field work is very important to the one who is trying to innovate something, because there are many people who are doing hooks and crooks, whatever possible to get something good from the available machineries. But so you will have to give some time, 6 months to 1 year, to study, to research that whatever is going on is really going on in everywhere, in every field, or is there anything better going on in other zonal railway or divisional railway. Then you may get something very good, then you can observe that thing also, absorb that thing. And if you do not get anything, then come back to your engineering part. Do not ever forget that you are an engineer. Why I'm telling this, it might be a joke for you, but it is reality that after coming to the job, you really you will not get time for engineering. You will get very less time for actual engineering, and rather you will be busy in, say, some kind of file work, books, contracts, and all that. Yes, those are also very important. But over the time, what I am observing is that many of the things are going on contract, which can be actually done by us only. We can do it. Before awarding a contract, before going for a contract, before even examining a contract, think about yourself that why we cannot do it. Because even in railways, even a khalasi, the lowest paid employer, is also selected from some exam. He's also a technical guy. For just your information, an apprenticeship is required for that. So everybody is technical, then why we have to outsource everything? So we have to come up with some solutions from our engineering era, whatever we have learned in our engineering. Now the most important part, whatever you have to do, you have to do with your team. See, you can do, you may think that if you will do it alone, you will be you will have a successful career, but it's not like that. Without team, definitely there will be some glitches, and there will be a waste of time. We don't have any time to waste also. That's why select your people and create a team, and designate the team members as per their respective role in the team. Whatever your goal is, accordingly set a team and designate each member some role. It should not be like everybody following everybody else's rules. It should never happen. Everybody should have his own individual role in the team, and you have to be a leader of the team. No doubt you are an officer, but then you, at the same time, you don't have to forget that you are also a team member. By having said that, I meant that never be a kind of a dictator. You have to be among the team members. You have to play the role as a team member in the team itself. And mind it, I'm 100% with guarantee I can say this, your output is 100% guaranteed if it is a teamwork. You have to have a team. It is very important. Hence, if you have to approach to a goal, first of all, observe what is the problem, find some engineering solution for it, and form a team. Go ahead with your team is very important. Okay, now challenges faced. Okay, I have done some innovations, so without wasting time, I think I should move to some innovation, so it will be good for you also to see some kind of things, and then we will come back to this challenges faced thing. Okay, so this was one of my webinar I conducted at Nair, Baroda. Some innovations we have done during this corona period. See, in this slide, I'll have to come back to this slide just for a second. You can see there is one lockdown written. I have made everything in red, but you can see there is a light greenish light. What does it suggest? It suggests that even in dark, even in the reddest area, you can have a light if you will apply your mind just for even 10 minutes. So whatever I could do, I was somewhere near to the lockdown, because in lockdown there were many obstacles coming to our human things, because nobody knew that what is coming to us. So there were many kind of haphazard innovations also. People were like running here and there to get something done to stay away from this COVID virus. So I have done some kind of innovations. The first one is running room cubicle automation. See, our loco pilots, the trained drivers, have to remain in some hostel kind of facility called as a running room. In running room, there are separate cubicles for it. It's not like our hostel room. It's just like a dormitory, you can say, but having partitions between each bed. Each bed has got some kind of some light switches, some fan switches, some mobile charging switches. It is a resting area for our drivers when they are away from home. That's why running room is also called as second home for the drivers. Now what was happening, that each bed was being occupied by different people. So there was a chance of spread of coronavirus through electrical switches. Initially we thought of sanitizing the electrical switches like was done in other railway units also, but sanitizing, you can see that sanitizer is a like fire prone, a highly inflammable liquid. Hence I thought that it should remain away from the electrical appliances. That's why we created something so that the drivers can have a touchless kind of thing. They don't have to touch anything, and they can have their lights on, their fans on, their mobile charging unit on, and when they enter the cubicle and then when they exit the cubicle, at that same time the electronic things, whatever we have installed, the electricity part, whatever we have installed should goes on and goes off automatically. It should be totally dependent upon the occupant, whether he is available or not. So I had designed some electrical switches. You can see this video. Okay, so it was all about touchless switches. First, I initiated this experiment on my this running room cubicles. Then later on, I went on to establish these kind of switches everywhere, wherever it was required, like our crew booking lobbies, and then some our hospital areas also, so that nobody has to touch the switches. It is fulfilling the purpose of switching on and off the electrical appliances, no doubt. And the board is enabled with a PIR enabled bulb holder. Now what is this PIR? It is proximity infrared sensor. It is the occupancy sensor, you can say in say normal language. It is just like if somebody is there, it will sense the occupancy of the one, and it will switch on the electronic circuit completely. And if somebody exists from the cubicle, it will get automatically switched off. So PIR sensor is completely controlling entire electronic circuitry. So that was all about our running room cubicle automation. See, I have got electronic programming also done for this. If you want, I can also go with the coding part also, but I think we are short of time. We may have something other time, but definitely I'll share this programming with you also. See, you can see on top I have written Arduino programming. Arduino is kind of a processor. In the beginning, I had told you, if you remember, the three things very important: the sensor, the processor, and the end effector. If you see this part, the running room cubicle automation, in this, the sensors are the PIR enabled sensors, the proximity sensors. Okay, even on switches, I used infrared sensors. They sense if there is anything in their range of 10 to 12 centimeter, and then they trigger the voltage of say 0.8 to 0.5 volt, 0.5 to 0.8 voltages, and that voltage is then I managed to transfer it to the relays, and relays are then further connected to the switches. In this case, the relays were our end effector. I will show you the photographs also of the circuit. So this was our programming let us
So how
not
are you
get into
powering the Arduino?
Arduino. We are powering through this data. We have a mobile charger with us, 5-volt data charger. The mobile, it is output of 5 volt and I needed 5 volt only for this. So yes, thank you very much. Somebody was there asking somebody, so it is good to see that people are there sitting at the other side also. Regularly, I was confirming from Smriti whether somebody is there or not because there was no voice.
But actually,
So anyways, let us come. Acha, okay, voice is breaking. I will try to speak slowly. Yeah, I will try to speak slowly. So this is our electronic circuit. You can see this is called as Arduino board. It has got some input pins and some output pins, some ground voltage, some 5-volt supply. This is basically a integrated circuit which has got microcontroller over it. This black portion is the microcontroller. There are potentiometer available. There are some. This is the reset switch. So let us get to the application part. These are the relays. I hope you might have learned about relays, but no doubt these are solenoid relays. If you give some input, some voltage to it, as it is mentioned here, 5 volt. There are bigger relays also which need bigger electricity, bigger voltage supplies. This was a very small unit. I had a 5-volt 4-channel relay. 4-channel means you can see this is one relay, this is second, third, and this is the fourth one. So there are 4 relays. In relay, it is very important to give electrical supply. It needs some input. Now, when that input is required, it's suggested by the Arduino board. And Arduino board, for this suggestion, for producing this suggestion, it has got this microcontroller over it. It processes the programming. I just shown you some programming. See, this is the part of it. Whatever we are programming over it, this black portion is the microcontroller which processes the programming. Then it processes and gives input to the relays. And on this relay, we have connected each relay with each IR module, infrared sensor. This thing, the individual thing, is the IR sensor. So I have got 4 IR sensors for 4 different switches: mobile phone, charger, the fan, and there was one bulb and one tube light. So it was like that. If you have any interest, definitely this is the circuitry. This was what we have designed on our own. My team has designed it. So this is the circuitry part. What is actually happening? Whatever program that we have done, we process the program, we give the program to this board via this particular input. This white, the silver portion, is actually a USB port. We give our program to this board by this USB port, the input. After that, the program goes to this microcontroller. It processes the entire program, and whatever output that we have already informed to our programming, this programmer, the microcontroller, it is then sent to the IR module through outputs. You can see here we call it as pin numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are pin. Why these are called as pin? Because the pins are connected here and they are connected by some wire. We call it as jumper cable, and then these wires are connected to the IR module. So for different IR modules, we have got different pins. Okay. So what is happening in this particular running room automation? Whenever our IR sensor is observing anything obstructive in front of it in say 8 to 10 centimeter range, it gives, you can see here, VCC, ground and out. There are 3 pins on this IR sensor. There is IR receiver, there is IR emitter. Is this picture clear to you, everybody, or not? Somebody reply.
Clear, sir.
Okay, so there are 3 pins. The VCC is just the 5 volt voltage. This sensor needs some kind of voltage for it. So it is the VCC one. You can see the VCC is being fed by our 5 volt pin. The Arduino. At the Arduino, we have got output of 5 volt. Somebody has asked me about supply to this board. It is given by mobile charger unit. Mobile charger is giving us very good 5 volt supply. Definitely you must use some good mobile charger for it. Some good company branded mobile charger. Don't use some big mobile charger, otherwise it will unnecessarily burn your entire board. So a good mobile charger has a very good charge controller. That's why I'm suggesting some good mobile charger. Okay, nothing else. So voltage is fed to this IR sensor. Similarly, the voltage is fed to this. All the IR sensors are fed the voltage supply here. For the ground supply, it is connected to the ground portion of the Arduino board. Okay. Now, whenever an object is coming in front of this IR sensor, it is generating an output voltage. That output voltage is going to the input of this Arduino board. When it comes to the Arduino board, it again goes to the microcontroller. It processes the output signal coming as input from the infrared sensors and then gives out its output to the relays. You can see here 2, 3, 4, 5. These 4 are the input pins of these 4 IR sensors. Okay, and these 10, 11, 12, 13. These are the output pins of the Arduino board coming to the relay board as becoming input now. The output of Arduino is becoming the input. You can see here IN1, IN2, IN3, IN4. Now for the relay board also, it also requires some voltage supply. Every electronic item needs some voltage supply. This is the most basic thing. Okay. So voltage supply of 5 volt was also fed to this relay board and ground was taken from it. You might have seen in any appliance there is a negative wire, there is a positive wire, just for the completion of the circuit. Okay, so ground, you can take it as example as negative. The VCC is the positive supply. That's it. Now the supply is also given to it, and the output is also given to it. Now these will behave according to the program done in this microcontroller. This is very basic circuit I have shown here. I'm showing this because I have done many innovations by simply following these simple logics. That's it. Okay, so let us now come back to move to next slide. This is our Corona safeguard. See, this circuit I have explained in detail just because it is very much required in other applications also. I will not repeat this circuit now. We are already running short of time. So this is Corona safeguard. I have patented this item. This is very important for us. What is very important? You can see the video first. Just a minute video. That's it. Okay, fine. So what is this kind of unit? This is a unit installed at every exit, every entry door of my all over division, crew booking lobbies, running rooms, railway stations, and hospitals also. What is it doing? It has got a ultrasonic sensor over it. It has got an ultrasound sonic sensor over it. Okay, it's a sound wave sensor. It also detects any obstruction coming in front of it. Now it is very important to have an ultrasonic sensor than an IR sensor in an open area, because infrared light sensor gets disturbed by the range of available different kind of rays of visible light. Hence infrared light is not good for your open areas. Hence, we have to use some kind of this ultrasonic sound sensor. It is also again a obstructive sensor. Then I have installed a camera inside it. You can see here, and I have programmed this temperature screener. You see the hole here, it's a temperature thermal screener actually. It is a touchless thermal screener. It detects the body temperature of your body and gives command to this thermal sensor. And I have got again same circuitry, the Arduino board enabled inside it, which is deciding that if the temperature is crossing 99.8 degrees Celsius, okay, if it is crossing 99.8 degrees Celsius, then it will give automatic command to the camera. This camera will click a photograph of the person standing before it, and it will automatically send to all the concerned people. For now, I have managed it to send to 5 people at a time. The RPF, the police guy, the medical doctor. These are the compulsory ones. The rest 3 are the wherever this machine is installed. Okay, so it was a very highlight for our division, for railways also, that we have got such a machine. Why? Because by doing this, first of all, we आवाज आ रही है, बंद करो, कौन चला रहा है? तो by making this machine, what was our advantage? Our advantage was that we don't have to have anybody standing at the entry gate and taking temperature of the various people standing. So by this, we actually eradicate the need of that particular person. Now you don't take it like that we have taken some kind of job of somebody or something. It is actually preventing that particular security guard from the upcoming unknown corona virus. Why? Because in such areas, in such facilities like running rooms, crew booking lobbies, hospitals, the railway stations, there are very different kind of people coming in and coming out. We never know who has got corona or who has not, who has got fever or not. So it is very important that we should not depute anybody for such kind of fatal task. I would say fatal task. Okay, so this was one thing. Second, it is also dispensing sanitizer also from this. You might have seen a glass of water here. Don't think otherwise. It is actually a hot glass of water. It was just to show that when the temperature is raised, it clicks a photograph. You can see a red LED here. So it is clicking a photograph, and it is sending the photograph as a email. Like, see this. You can see these are the photographs. It is very important to tell you that till date we have identified 12 such people who had temperatures beyond 100 degrees Celsius, and after checking, they were found to be corona positive. So that's why it was very good for us. And as I said earlier, for this also initially I had to make this arrangement on my own cost, my own time, and it was not costing much. It costed me around just $7,050. That's it. But after seeing its successful operation, everybody asked for such kind of device. Then I developed a team, I created a lab, and then we had at least 30 to 40 such kind of machineries installed all over my division. Okay, so just to show you, it was our initial version. You can see Atmanirbhar Bharat, something like that, because these days Atmanirbhar Bharat is a buzz on Twitter. So whatever. Actually, this body is the body of soap dispensers in first AC coaches. After coming of this corona pandemic, it was very much needed to remove those soap dispensers because they were becoming a source of corona spread. So those were all removed. Then where can we use them? So I use them here. That's why I was not I had not to pay a lot of bucks for just a simple machine. I had to pay only for those sensors. Okay, then this was our initial model. Then we went on to this advanced version that you were just seeing, and now this is our final version. Just for your information, it was also asked by the RDSO, and it is installed at RDSO in Mumbai area in their unit, and they are successfully using it. So this is again the programming part of it. Corona Safeguard, I have patented it already because it was a highlight, and many companies were asking me, and it is a very good tool. If I will send one to IRMI also, but IRMI is closed, so no need as such. So this was electronic circuitry explanation. I'll go through it just in some time. Okay. So this is Arduino board.
I have a question.
I had shown you earlier. Is it? Yes, please. Yes, please.
Actually, as you are saying that many of these items you have patented, so can you use it independently, or you have to take permission of railways, or does railways have some part in?
I have not patented as my own. As I said earlier, we need a team, and we have given a patent application for a team name only. So it's with railways itself. So we can use all over railways.
Thank you, sir.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Was I audible? Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, please give me reply also, because you know it's yeah.
Sir, are there any issues of the Arduino burnout ever till now?
Definitely, there are. You know, this Arduino set is actually coming in 450 to 500 bucks in local market. Why? Because it's not an original thing. The original thing comes for at least 4,000 rupees, and it's available online also. So one has to be very clear while purchasing these electronical items from market. You have to be very clear while purchasing these electronical items from market. There are people are like not giving the right material to you. Maybe they are charging everything, but they will not give the right material.
From my own experience,
Okay.
I guess
In
RPi
actual
is better
Arduino
than
board.
Arduino.
Yes.
Sir, what I have heard is
Which
that
one?
RPi is better than Arduino. Raspberry Pi.
R5.
So, yeah. So
You're
that is
talking about
better, then why
R5.
are we not using it? RPi, Raspberry Pi.
You're talking about Raspberry Pi.
Yes, sir. So why are we not using that instead of Arduino?
Okay. So you want to talk about a comparison of Raspberry Pi and Arduino, right?
I just wanted to know because that is on a very safer side. There are less cases of burnout in RPi. So better use RPi instead of Arduino in these cases.
Right. It's a good question, because I had to research for this particular comparison for at least a month to come back to this stage. You know, Raspberry Pi are very good unit if you have to store some data with you. It's like a small computer. If you want to take temperatures and keep it recorded in your unit, you have to create a database. Then Raspberry Pi is definitely good. And yes, there are less cases of burnout, but yes, there are also cases. See, burnouts are not happening because of your boards. Burnouts are happening just because of not following proper electronics. Just as I said earlier, if you will use not proper this 5-volt supply, then definitely you might get your board burned. And Arduino is good much better than a Raspberry Pi if you want to control some sensors. Okay.
Okay.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Arduino board is very good for controlling sensors. Raspberry Pi is good, but is good for even storage also. In all these applications, whatever I have done, I don't have to create any separate database. If in this unit, Corona Safeguard unit, we were using the Gmail facility, the Google facility, which is already giving us 15 GB of data free of cost. And then there is no e-waste as such, because I don't have to create any hard disk installation or say copy that CD and all that, or floppy. I'm just getting everything online on online Google database. So we don't have to create, or we don't have to buy any hard disk installation for this. Okay. So this is the circuitry part. Let me finish it in as fast as I can. You can see here one ESP32 module we have used, Raspberry Pi ESP32 CAM. Now the was of this that it was having a small camera with it already enabled with the camera. So I don't have to buy a new camera for my device. That's why ESP32 cam, this was very much helpful to us. You can see here the green thermal lens circuit board. Now what I have done, we have actually reverse engineered the available thermal sensor already available in market. Now why? That I will come to you, that I'll show you. That was very important part of it. This is DC 5 volt again, and this is the motor. You can see this is a submersible pump basically for pumping the sanitizer, and this is the external supply. This is the entire circuitry. Now this is the comparison of fire sensor module and ultrasonic sensors. A small comparison, but if I can tell you, IR sensor module are very good if you want to work inside in an inside environment, in-house environment, and ultrasonic sensor module are very good if you want to work in open environment. Now coming to this was very important. The thermal sensor available in market from Germany is this one, MLX90614. This is costing in the tunes of 2000 of rupees. But in this time, we were having a made in India thermal gun, and I was getting it for 1600 rupees only. And with this, I was already having the red light indication along with buzzer available. So I had not done much of electronic part in this. I was only supposed to integrate the thermal sensor with sanitizer and with camera and then sending an email. This was only the part that I had to do. The initial basic part was already available in this module. That's why we have used the thermal gun itself rather than going for purchasing a new thermal sensor. Okay. So that was all about to convert the existing handheld thermal guns into the corrosive guards. This is ESP32 cam. You can see here a small camera. It's a 2.1 megapixel camera. You can have a live photo shooting. You can have a live footage of anywhere from anywhere, and that is the best part of it. Even on drones, this is used. Even I have used it on my locomotives for taking view of the front of the trains. So it is a very good module, ESP32 cam. Okay. This is all about programming part. The Arduino is already available on online. I will share the links with Shilbhadra and Shashwat also. Now this is another, just have a look at it. Automation of undergear examination lights. By doing this, we have saved lakhs and lakhs of rupees, because we used to see that many people were used to not switch off the lights and were going, because the thing is कि किसी के घर से तो जाता नहीं है. Please see this video. The train is now coming. The lights are getting automatically switched on as per the availability of the train. Now the train is leaving the line. The track is being left. We have designed it for 5-minute delay so that guard can also see if there is anything on track, just for safety purposes. That's it. After 5 minutes, the lights will automatically on its own will go off. So that's how we have saved a lot of electricity in our division. So, this was a touchless bell in crew lobbies. In crew booking lobbies where the loco pilot has to make their attendance, they have to bell. There is a bell, and they have to bell. Just maybe you can say religious vows that hey, that God, this train should run safely. Or the other point, the railway point of view is that whenever they use the bell, kind of alarm is generated psychologically in the mind that yes, I'm going on duty now. So that bell was actually used to be used by the hands only, just to avoid the multiple touches. I had also enabled it with ultrasonic sensor, and then and now people just have to come in front of it. That's it. They don't have to touch the bell actually. And this is a basic example also done in many temples. Also, you can see it in many temples. In view of corona, they have done it. This was our fully automatic UV sterilizer. It's kind of office table safeguard. Many files are coming and many papers are going. So what one is afraid about is the papers coming to his chamber. So we have created this facility for many of our branch officers, and all are using it. See, the person is now inserting the document. Now one has to just put his hand in front of it. The sterilization process is on. Actually required for for 60 seconds it will roll on. After 50 seconds, you see the sterilization is on, the red light is blinking. After 60 seconds, the tray automatically comes out. It will remain outside for 10 more seconds. You see the sterilization is on, the red light is blinking. After 60 seconds, the tray will automatically comes out. More seconds. So that remove the paper. Okay. It will remove so that one can remove the paper. What I have tried to do is I have created a hopper type of structure and applied pure fluid mechanics. This is very much related to our mechanical engineering. I have applied pure. This is a hopper type of it was used that as per fluid because up to 30 pure fluid mechanics. And everything is designed fluid mechanics, pure fluid mechanics. The angles are very important. Very important. We have to require creating that vortex of sand. Dance of it. we had used Arduino. And it is a self- your skill, otherwise it has to be very fast. It was like that. And it actually I just saw a small dance of it. To make it okay, so it was all about the journey of the robot. Yeah, it was when we made the particular robot for other division, we sent it through our train, and it was the journey of a robot. You please see this video, just to have a feel of it. The robot is now traveling in the train, and during this journey, it used to get the temperature of the surrounding also. We had recorded that thing also with us. Now, you see, initially in the beginning of the lecture, I had told you that the initial investment of cost in terms of finance or in terms of hardships and time that you have to bear on it on your own. But if your project is a success, definitely your system will support you, will help you out, will want and will ask you to make some more of it. So at this point of juncture, after 1 year of this innovation, we have installed it on our railway stations. You can see this is being used by the passengers at railway hospitals in both in Pune division and Solapur division, in our division and nearest divisions, and at our all branch offices, in the DRM office, in the headquarter office. Yes, it is available at even in RDSO Mumbai headquarters, and many places, even in our all CNW wings, engineering wings. So it was a great success. I must say, success was hidden here. That 12 cases were identified, as I also mentioned earlier also, that there were 12 cases identified which had temperature more than 99 degrees Celsius, and they were later found to be really corona positive. So that's why this became some more popular. You know, what happens is when you create a team, your team also gives you surprises, and I had this surprise for my team itself. What I was doing during all these processes, I had a team, I had designated them, I went on to make many innovations, and when one by one each innovation get to be acknowledged by the senior officers like DRM and CME, the higher authorities, then I used to make a write-up for those so that they can be given some award. You know, in railways, in the government organization, what we can do, max for our staff, we can definitely create something to boost their morals. To boost their morals, there is a facility available of giving away awards, cash awards or certificate. In government service, we can boost the morale only. In private, many of you have worked in private also. In private sectors, what happens is they have facility of giving the promotions right at the time whenever you do something good. But in railway, in government organization, it is not possible. But yes, there is a possibility of giving them boosting their morale by giving them away awards. And the other way around, that the thing that I followed, that's why I must tell you this also. This is a good idea that might help you also in your career. Whenever your staff do something good, you talk to your PRO also. PRO means public relation officer, who is related to media, so that you can display some photographs, some pictures of your staff on newspaper also. That also creates and boosts their morale to a lot. So what I was talking about a surprise. So they have come up with a very wonderful laboratory. Of course, I had a concept initially in my mind, but then I forgot about it. I told my team members that we can do this also. So just in a matter of 2.5 months, they just came up to my office and said, "Sir, let us go to our lab." And when we went to our lab, the lab was wonderful, and it was like no work was, no expenditure was done on this lab. They created the lab on their own from their own cash awards. And I was shocked to see this. They have used the scrap available in yards in our CNW depot, and used that scrap to create benches, chairs for that lab, even shelves also. And later on, they implanted their technology in the lab by creating the switches remotely controlled. So it was really surprising for me. It's a very good lab. Maybe you may have a video of this. Please have a watch on this. They called it a mechatronic lab, of course. These table, these chair, all are made by themselves from the scrap. The shelves, definitely I had to wear something for their dresses, the uniforms. Then we arranged one air conditioner also in this. The small train structure they have come up with this. That's one of the corona safeguards being tried and tested. He is our programmer. I told you initially, designate the members. He is the programmer. These are some previous shots of that room. So that's my team. Later on, the different departments also joined me in this venture. I had team members not only from mechanical department, but I have from this electrical services, from SNT services, from engineering. One is AOM also associated with me in this work. So there are people coming from all kind of department, and now DRM sir has given me the independency to use the team members to do more and more innovations in my division. So that was all about. And yes, by showing this lab, I want to tell you that yes, it was a success, that I made my team intelligent enough to create something on their own and come up with something more important for the railways. And as you have seen, the robot, that was an artificial intelligent device. The corona safeguard is also in itself, it's an intelligent device which can send the emails with photograph on its own. So that was all about from my side. I would like to have some questions. If there are any, please come up.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Ashish and I'm an IITS professional. My question
Okay,
is,
welcome.
while
Yeah,
you
nice.
talk about these technological and innovative changes, and while you try to bring in this technology and innovation in railways, how adaptive and accommodative is railway as an organization to take up these changes?
Right, right. As an organization, railway is very, very much adaptive towards new innovations and technologies. They are very much interested, they are very much curious about new things. They want something new, but in capacity of safety. The only fear they have is safety, nothing else. And the other one is most important is they don't want you to waste your time in other things which are not related to railway working. So that's why I was telling, I told you initially also, whenever you make something and show it on in reality, not on paper, not on talks, not on verbal ideas, but on practical table, that yes, this is the model I was talking about. And for that, definitely you will have to give in your own time, your own cost. Initially you will have to bear that, and see if that works very nicely. Your system will definitely absorb it at the instant. It will see it, it will absorb it. That's how the railway is.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah. And any more, please?
Sir, do you have any programming background, or it just you learned while doing this thing?
Yeah. I don't have any programming background. I'm basically a mechanical engineer only. That's it. I have done some robotic automation courses also, but again, not like not the proper courses, the online courses only. And definitely these days you have the freedom of using your YouTube. You see other organizations what they are doing. You make your competitor like Ford, BMW, Mercedes. You make your competitor the bullet train makers, the Shanghai ones, and then you see what you can come up with. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And any more?
Is there any new
So
project coming up, sir?
yeah, I'm working on it already. What I have already what I'm doing from beginning is this kind of a small promise that I have done to myself, that I will not disclose anything unless it is completed. Because when one discloses, it all becomes all about hawabaji. So that fear also remains with me, that I should not disclose anything before it is completed. These all projects that you have seen just in your this during the lecture, that I have done over the time of say 6 to 8 months. It was not done in a night, and it was done all with my team members. Okay, so there are projects, but let me complete those first. Okay.
Okay.
Anything more, please?
Surikant, I'm sorry. I think that brings us to
Yes.
the that is the. I think there was one question. This is the. We'll have to make this last one. Sorry, there's no time.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, regarding that technical knowledge regarding the programming and all, so
Yeah.
Initially when your team includes the mechanical members only, so the programming stuff they have learned by YouTube and all, or they have done any specific courses?
Good question. You know what? uh, what I have experienced, I can tell about only my experience. I notice some of my staff who are maybe designated as khalasis, helpers, or technicians. They are the designation being given to them as per their records and whatever examination they went through to come into railways. But other than that, they were very much intelligent, sharp, and they had experience and knowledge of these all programmings and everything. So it was all about finding these fellows from my 3,000 of staffs, that where I can get those 8 to 9 fellows who can actually come up with great things. So that groundwork is to be done by the officer himself. and these people, once you get these people, your job is done. Got it?
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Shashwat.
I'm sure that there are many other questions, but I'm really sorry we are out of time. And so before we close, I'd like to request Dean sir if he would like to give his opinion or say a few words before we close the session.
Good morning, everyone. Surikant, many thanks for joining in and giving an excellent, inspiring lecture to all our probationers.
Thank you, sir.
Ajay Nandan, let me introduce. I am Ajay Nandan. I have been taking classes for both the probationers batches already, so they all know me. And it's been very discussed item on the agenda of IRMI to create interest in the area of microprocessor programming, automation, industrial automation, and basically industrial automation. And when we started thinking about the idea of having a IRMI innovation series, your name was very highly recommended by some of the friends that I know and who have interacted with you already. And the topic of automating some of the fundamental items that are used in train operations was very in sync with the idea of industrial automation. Of course, industrial automation will go a very long way beyond this, but this is somewhere the learning has to start. And I again thank you all, thank all the probationers also for listening very eagerly and participating in the question answer session also. And with this, I thank Surikant Jawar and also give him my best wishes to continue the good work in future also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Surikant, for coming here and giving us your time to join us for this webinar. And
Thank you, Shashwat.
Thank you. And all the tips you gave were very useful, and I'm sure that all our friends who have joined would also have found it very useful. Thank you. So we're out of time. So with your permission, we'd like to close this webinar, please.
Sure.